Be me, Olivia, 28. Just broke up with Ethan last month after 2 years together. Told all my friends he was emotionally unavailable and couldn't handle a strong woman. Honestly feel pretty vindicated about the whole thing. He kept trying to bring up communication issues, which was obviously just code for wanting me to be more submissive. Whatever. His loss. Fast forward to today. Realize I left my favorite earrings at his apartment. Know he's at work until 6 p.m. Figure I can swing by and grab them. Still have the spare key he gave me months ago. Technically, I should probably return it, but I need my earrings first. Let myself into his place. Feels weird being here without him. Head straight to the bedroom to look for my jewelry. Checking his nightstand drawer for the little dish where I used to put them. Instead find this leather-bound notebook. Curiosity gets the better of me. What kind of guy keeps a diary anyway? Open it up, expecting maybe work notes or something boring. Immediately see it's actually a personal journal. Entries dating back to when we first started dating. Should probably put it back, but what if he wrote about me? Just a quick peek to see what he really thought about our relationship. Maybe some validation that he was intimidated by my independence. Flip to a random entry from about 6 months into our relationship. March 15th. Olivia got upset with me again today for not planning something thoughtful for our 6-month anniversary. When I suggested we split the cost of a nice dinner since we've been talking about how important financial equality is to her, she completely lost it. Said I was being cheap and that a real man would want to treat his girlfriend. I tried to point out the contradiction, but she said I was weaponizing feminism against her. I ended up paying for the whole weekend trip to the coast just to stop the fighting. Cost me nearly $800 I didn't really have. I feel like I can't win. She wants equality when it benefits her, but traditional gender roles when it doesn't. The worst part was when she told Sarah and Jessica about it at dinner, making it sound like I was some deadbeat who never wanted to spend money on her. I just sat there while they all talked about how men today don't know how to be men. I felt about 2 inches tall. Stomach drops a little reading this. I remember that fight. He's totally mischaracterizing what happened. I wasn't asking for traditional gender roles, just basic thoughtfulness. Though, I do remember complaining to the girls about it. Flip ahead a few pages, telling myself I'll just read one more entry. May 3rd. Had dinner with Olivia's parents tonight. Every time her dad tried to talk to me about sports or ask about my job, Olivia would interrupt to lecture about toxic masculinity and how men bond through sports because they can't express emotions properly. When I mentioned I actually enjoy basketball because it reminds me of playing with my dad before he died, she said I was romanticizing patriarch bonding rituals. Her mom tried to change the subject, but Olivia kept going. I excused myself to the bathroom and just sat there for 10 minutes, trying not to cry. My dad died when I was 12. Basketball is one of the few good memories I have of him. When I came back, Olivia was explaining to her parents how she's helping me unpack my masculine conditioning. I drove home in silence while she talked about how proud she was of me for listening and learning. I wasn't learning. I was dying inside. Hands actually shaking now. I remember that dinner. Thought I was helping him grow as a person. His dad. He never talks about his dad. Had no idea he died when Ethan was so young. The basketball thing. Oh God. Keep reading. Can't seem to stop myself. July 22nd. Olivia invited her book club over tonight. I tried to stay out of the way, but they were discussing some article about emotional labor. Olivia started using me as an example of how she has to manage my feelings and teach me empathy. She told them about how I got upset last week when she canceled our plans last minute to go to that rally, and how she had to educate me about how women's rights are more important than dinner reservations. The whole group was nodding along while she described me like I was some kind of project. Lisa asked if I was worth the effort, and Olivia said, "That's the burden we bear as evolved women." I was sitting right there in the kitchen, able to hear everything. When they left, I told her it hurt to be talked about like that. She said I was being too sensitive and that if I felt ashamed, maybe I should examine why instead of tone policing her. I slept on the couch because I couldn't stand the thought of lying next to someone who saw me as a burden. Oh fuck. I remember that book club meeting. Thought I was sharing insights about relationships. Didn't think about how it would sound to him. But he was being unreasonable about the rally thing, wasn't he? Flipping through more pages, finding entry after entry. September 8th. Olivia's been on me all week about not posting anything for Women's Equality Day on social media. Says my silence is violence and that I need to use my male privilege to amplify women's voices. When I said I prefer to support causes privately through donations rather than performative posting, she accused me of being ashamed to be associated with feminism. Made me sit down and craft a post while she watched, editing it multiple times because it wasn't authentic enough. then got mad when people commented that it sounded forced. Told me I obviously don't really care about women's rights and that she's starting to question if I'm the kind of man she thought I was. I've donated to 3 women's organizations this year and volunteer at the domestic violence shelter every other weekend, but apparently none of that matters because I don't announce it online. I feel like nothing I do is ever enough, and when I try to express that, I'm told I'm making it about myself. The shelter volunteering. I never knew about that. Why didn't he tell me? I mean, I did need him to be more vocal about supporting women. How was I supposed to know he was doing all that other stuff if he never mentioned it? October 31st. Went to Kevin's Halloween party with Olivia tonight. Worst night I've had in months. She spent the entire party critiquing everyone's costumes for being problematic. When she started loudly explaining to a group of people why Kevin's girlfriend's Pocahontas costume was cultural appropriation, I quietly suggested maybe we could discuss it privately with them later instead of calling them out in front of everyone. Olivia turned on me in front of the whole group and said I was protecting white fragility and asked if I was one of those men who only supports women when it's convenient. I tried to say that wasn't what I meant, but she cut me off and said my defensiveness was showing. I ended up apologizing profusely just to end the scene she was making. Spent the rest of the party standing in the corner while she held court about intersectional feminism. On the drive home, she said she was disappointed in me and that she needed to see more growth if this relationship was going to work. I wanted to point out that she'd humiliated me in front of all our friends, but I knew it would just lead to another lecture about how I can't handle being called out. I'm starting to feel like I'm walking on eggshells constantly, cringing so hard reading this. I do remember that party. Felt like he was trying to silence me. But reading it from his perspective, maybe I could have handled that differently, though someone needed to say something about that costume. Hands trembling as I turn more pages. November 18th. Olivia broke up with me today, then got back together with me 6 hours later. This morning she said she couldn't be with someone who doesn't challenge the patriarchy enough because I wouldn't argue with my boss about the company's paternity leave policy during my performance review. I tried to explain that I'm already on thin ice at work and can't afford to rock the boat right now, especially since I'm trying to get promoted so I can better support us financially. She said I was prioritizing capitalism over justice and that she couldn't respect a man who chooses complicity. I was devastated, been crying on and off all day, called in sick to work because I couldn't function. Then tonight she showed up at my door saying she'd talked to her therapist and realized she was being too hard on me, but that I needed to understand her perspective better. We're back together, but I feel like emotional roadkill. This cycle of breaking up and getting back together is killing me. I never know when I'm going to say or do something that makes her question our entire relationship. I used to be a confident person, but now I second-guess everything I say or do. I feel like I'm constantly failing some test I didn't know I was taking. Stomach feels like it's dropping through the floor. I remember that fight. Thought I was holding him accountable. Didn't realize how much it was affecting him. The part about him crying. I never saw him cry. Not once in 2 years. December 3rd. Olivia's been criticizing everything I do lately. Yesterday, she said, the way I load the dishwasher is a reflection of how I view women's labor. Apparently I'm being careless and expecting her to fix my mistakes. When I suggested we could alternate who does dishes instead, she said I was trying to avoid accountability and that the problem wasn't the division of labor but my mindset. Today she got upset because I bought the wrong brand of tampons for her emergency stash. Said I clearly don't pay attention to her needs, and that mental load falls on women because men refuse to care about details. I've been keeping a note in my phone of her preferred brands for everything: tampons, birth control, face wash, coffee, but I grabbed the wrong box in a hurry, and apparently that negates all the times I got it right. I apologized and went back to the store immediately, but she said sorry wasn't enough and that I needed to sit with why I'd made that mistake. I'm sitting with it now, and honestly, I think I made that mistake because I'm so anxious about messing up that my hands were shaking in the feminine products aisle. I used to joke with friends about not understanding women, but this isn't funny anymore. I feel like I'm failing at being a decent human being, and I don't know how to fix it. Oh my God. He kept notes in his phone. I never knew that. I was so angry about the tampon thing. Seemed like he just didn't care enough to remember, but he was actually trying harder than I realized. January 14th. Olivia says I have toxic positivity because I tried to cheer her up when she was having a bad day at work. Apparently suggesting we could order her favorite Thai food and watch a movie was dismissing her emotional experience and rushing her through her feelings. When I asked what she needed from me instead, she said I should know without asking, and that emotional intelligence means reading the situation. But last week when she was upset and I just listened without offering solutions, she said I was being passive and not caring enough to help problem solve. I can't figure out what she wants from me. I've started keeping a journal of how she responds to different things I do, trying to find patterns, but there don't seem to be any. The same action gets completely different reactions depending on her mood. I'm exhausted from trying to decode what kind of support she needs at any given moment, while also being told that asking directly shows I'm not emotionally evolved enough. I never thought I'd say this, but I miss the simplicity of my previous relationships where I could just be myself. The pattern tracking thing, that's actually heartbreaking. I did get frustrated with him for asking what I needed. Thought he should just know. But reading this, I can see how confusing I was being. My responses probably didn't make sense from his perspective. February 9th. Had the worst fight yet with Olivia tonight. I've been struggling with anxiety lately, work stress, money concerns, and honestly the constant pressure of our relationship dynamics. I finally worked up the courage to suggest couples counseling because I feel like we're stuck in these negative patterns. Olivia completely exploded, said I was pathologizing her and trying to make her the problem. When I tried to explain that I thought we both had things to work on, she accused me of both siding our issues and said that as a man, I needed to focus on my own growth instead of deflecting. She said therapy was just another way for men to avoid taking responsibility and that if I really loved her, I'd do the work myself. I tried to say that I've been reading books and articles she's recommended, but she said reading wasn't enough and I needed to show real change. When I asked for specific examples of what change would look like, she said the fact that I needed it spelled out proved I wasn't ready for the work. I ended up apologizing for even suggesting therapy, but inside I'm screaming. I know I'm not perfect, but I feel like I've been bending over backwards to be better and it's never enough. I'm starting to lose myself in this relationship. Reading this is making me physically nauseous. I remember shutting down the therapy suggestion. Thought he was trying to make our problems seem mutual when clearly he was the one who needed to change. But maybe I was wrong about that. Maybe we both had issues. March 2nd. Olivia told me today that she's been educating her coworkers about our relationship as an example of how women can help men evolve. Apparently, I'm her success story of how the right woman can help a man overcome his conditioning. She described to them how I used to be typical, but now I'm more aware of my privilege and impact. The way she talks about me like I'm some kind of before and after transformation makes me feel sick. I wasn't some monster when we met. I was just a regular guy, trying to be decent to people. Now I feel like every conversation is a test, and every day I might discover some new way I've been unconsciously perpetuating harm. I used to have opinions and preferences and a sense of humor. Now I run everything through this filter of, is this problematic? And I've lost track of who I actually am underneath all the self-monitoring. I love Olivia, but I'm not sure I love who I've become with her. I feel like I disappeared somewhere along the way. Tears are actually falling on the pages now. I was proud of how much he'd grown. Thought I was helping him become a better person. Never considered that I might be erasing who he was. The part about losing his sense of humor. He did used to laugh more. Flipping toward more recent entries with shaking hands. March 20th. I think I need to end things with Olivia, but I don't know how. Every time I try to bring up problems in our relationship, I get told I'm being defensive or making things about myself. I feel trapped in this dynamic where I'm always the student and she's always the teacher, always the one with something to correct about how I think or feel or behave. I miss having a partner who saw me as an equal instead of a project. I miss being able to disagree about something without it becoming a seminar on my unconscious biases. I miss feeling like my feelings mattered too. Yesterday I tried to tell her that her constant corrections were affecting my self-esteem, and she said that discomfort with being called out was a sign I needed to lean into the learning. But I'm not learning anymore. I'm just shrinking. I'm becoming smaller and smaller, trying to take up less space so there's less of me to criticize. I don't think she sees me as a person anymore, just as a representation of everything wrong with men that she gets to fix. I know if I break up with her, she'll tell everyone it's because I couldn't handle being with a strong woman. And maybe that's true. Maybe I can't handle being with someone who makes me feel this worthless. Sobbing now. Can barely see the page through tears. This is how he really felt? All this time I thought I was helping him grow. Thought our discussions were making him more aware. Never realized I was making him feel worthless. Last entry I can bear to read. Dated just a week before our breakup. April 8th. Olivia accused me of stonewalling her today because I didn't want to have another 3-hour conversation about my internalized misogyny after I said I was tired. I worked a 12-hour shift yesterday and just wanted to come home and decompress quietly. But apparently my need for space is a classic male avoidance tactic and shows I'm not committed to growth. She said, if I really loved her, I'd prioritize our relationship over my comfort. I ended up sitting through another lecture about emotional availability while fighting to keep my eyes open. I think something broke in me tonight. I realized that I haven't felt genuinely happy in months. I can't remember the last time I felt relaxed or at peace. Every interaction with Olivia feels like I'm being cross-examined for crimes I didn't know I'd committed. I love her, but I don't think she loves me. Not the real me, anyway. She loves the idea of fixing me. She loves having someone to educate and improve. But the person I actually am seems to disappoint her constantly. I don't want to be anyone's improvement project anymore. I want to be someone's partner. I want to be with someone who likes me, not someone who's constantly trying to make me into someone else. I think I know what I have to do. Close the journal and just sit there on his bed, crying harder than I have in years. This is what I did to him. This is who I was in our relationship. I was so focused on making him better that I never stopped to consider whether I was making him happy, or whether he needed to be fixed in the first place. Thinking back through our entire relationship with this new perspective. All those times I thought I was standing up for myself. All those moments I felt proud of educating him. All those conversations where I thought I was helping him grow. He experienced all of it as criticism and rejection. The worst part is how reasonable I thought I was being. How justified I felt in everything I said and did. I genuinely believed I was the wronged party when we broke up. Told everyone he couldn't handle my independence. Painted him as just another guy who was threatened by a strong woman. But I wasn't strong. I was cruel, and I was too self-righteous to see it. Remembering specific moments now with horrible clarity. The way his face would shut down when I started explaining his privilege to him. How he stopped sharing opinions about movies or books. The way he'd apologize immediately whenever I got upset, like he was afraid of me. How he stopped talking about his day at work after I kept pointing out problematic things his coworkers said. He didn't become more enlightened. He just became more afraid. Sitting in his empty apartment, holding his journal, realizing that everything he wrote about me was true. I did use feminist language to shut down his concerns. I did have double standards about equality. I did treat him like a project instead of a person. I did make him feel like he could never be good enough. The most horrifying part is that I still want to argue with what he wrote. Still want to defend my actions and explain my perspective, which just proves his point about how I could never let him have his own experience. Always had to correct him. Always had to be right. I thought I was helping him become a better man. But I was really just making him hate himself, and maybe hate women too, after what I put him through. I might have done more damage to feminism in one relationship than any misogynist could do in years. Putting the journal back exactly where I found it. Taking one last look around the apartment. Seeing it now as the home of someone I systematically destroyed. Someone who tried to love me while I picked apart everything about him. Leaving without my earrings. They don't matter anymore. Nothing feels like it matters anymore except the sick realization of who I really am. Not the enlightened feminist I thought I was. Just another person who used ideology to justify being cruel. Just another person who confused being right with being good. Driving home in complete silence. No music, no podcasts, nothing. Just the sound of my own breathing and the weight of what I've learned. I was the problem the whole time. I was the toxic one. I was the one who couldn't handle being in a relationship with a good person. Going to have to live with this now. Going to have to face the fact that I drove away someone who genuinely loved me. Because I couldn't love him back without trying to change everything about him first. And worst of all, I'm going to have to admit that maybe, just maybe, I'm not the person I thought I was.
Be me, 26F, grad student, sociology major. My pronouns are on my Insta bio, you get the picture. My entire world is an echo chamber of recycled academic jargon. Patriarchy, toxic masculinity, male privilege, blah blah blah. My friends, Brenda and Chloe, are the high priestesses of this cult. We sit around drinking overpriced oat milk lattes and talk about how men are trash. It's our favorite pastime, right after thrift shopping for clothes we'll wear once. One Tuesday, Brenda is fuming. Some guy on Hinge had the audacity to ask her what she brings to the table. The absolute horror. Chloe is nodding. They literally just want a bang maid they don't have to pay. I chime in, dating for men is life on easy mode. They just swipe right on everything and wait for some desperate girl to reply. Brenda says, exactly. They face zero rejection. They hold all the cards. We have to be perfect. They just have to be present. A thought percolates in my gender studies-addled brain. An evil, brilliant, blog post-generating thought. Girls, I announce, I'm going to prove it. I'm going to create a male dating profile. I'll document how pathetically easy it is. It'll be the ultimate exposé on male privilege in modern dating. Brenda and Chloe look at me like I'm Simone de Beauvoir reincarnated. We decide on the perfect subject. We call him Adam, not chatty enough to be intimidating, not nerdy enough to be an incel. Just Adam, the blank slate of mediocre manhood. Part 1. Operation Adam begins. We spend an hour looking for stock photos. Settle on a guy who is a solid 6 out of 10. Brown hair, kind eyes, slightly goofy smile. Not model tier, just a dude. Height, 5 feet 11 inches. We figure this is the median lie for a 5 foot 9 inch guy. Honesty, but with market awareness. Job, graphic designer. Creative, but not a starving artist. Stable. Bio. This is where I pour my genius. I craft what I believe is the perfect male bio, the kind of thing my friends and I claim we want. Adam, 28 ENFP. I'll probably fall for your dog first. Passionate about sustainable design, social justice, and finding the best ramen spot in the city. Feminist, ally, and a great listener. Looking for a genuine connection. It's perfect. A masterpiece of non-threatening, emotionally available masculinity. Chloe claps. Wow. I'd swipe right. We all agree. Adam is a catch. He's going to be drowning in matches. I set the radius to 20 miles and lean back, ready for the floodgates to open. I'm already drafting the title for my article. I posed as a man on Tinder for 24 hours and got 100 plus matches. What this says about privilege. A day passes. 0 matches. Not a single one. The app must be bugged, I tell Brenda. She agrees. Yeah, the algorithm is probably suppressing you. Classic tech bro misogyny. 3 days pass. 2 matches. One is a bot with a link to a cam site. The other is a woman named Crystal, who looks like she's been filtered into the uncanny valley. I open with a witty, engaging line I would love to receive. Hey, Crystal, your profile says you love hiking. I see you summited Mount Baldy. That's impressive. How was it? Her reply. 6 hours later. LOLK. K. I try to salvage it. Haha, well, just thought it was cool. Got any other big hikes planned? No reply. She unmatches me the next day. A week passes. Total matches, 5. 2 were the aforementioned bots/scammers. 1 was Crystal. 1 unmatches me immediately after matching. A phantom match. The last one, a girl named Jess, I managed to start a conversation with. Me. Hey Jess, I'm Adam. Your taste in music is immaculate. A+ for the Tame Impala mention. Jess. THX. Me. Are you going to see them if they tour next year? Jess. Maybe. Me. Cool. Well, I'd be down to go if you wanted some company. Anyway, what are you up to this weekend? Jess. Chillin'. This is like trying to play tennis with a wet sponge. I'm carrying the entire conversation. I'm the jester, the interviewer, the entertainer. I feel exhausted. And it's only been 1 conversation. I screenshot the chat and send it to Brenda and Chloe. Their response? Lil Mayo, she's probably just busy. Girls have lives. You're being too needy. Classic man. Needy? I was just trying to have a conversation. My grand expose is turning into a diary of digital despair. Part 2. The pivot to primate. I'm frustrated. My thesis is in shambles. I complain to my friends. This isn't working. Adam the ally is a failure. Chloe sips her latte. It's because you're being too nice. You're giving beta energy. Women want a man who is a challenge. An alpha. Brenda nods sagely. She's right. You need to be more dominant. Cocky. A little bit of an asshole, even. This is the exact opposite of everything they claim to hate. The cognitive dissonance is staggering, but I'm desperate for data. Fine, I'll play the game. I delete Adam's profile. I create Jax. Stock photo is now a guy who's maybe a 7.5 out of 10. Faint stubble, smirking at the camera. He looks like he owns a boat, or at least has a friend who owns a boat. 1 picture is him on a motorcycle. Another is him laughing with friends at a bar. Height, 6 feet 2 inches. No more fucking around. Job, entrepreneur. Vague implies wealth and ambition. Bio. I grit my teeth and channel my inner douchebag. Jax, 29. 6 feet 2 inches since you're going to ask anyway. I like whiskey, my dog, and women who don't take themselves too seriously. Looking for a partner in crime. Your dad will hate me. I feel disgusting typing it. This is everything I despise. I hit save. The matches start rolling in within the hour. 10, 20, 50. By the end of the day, I have over 80 matches. I show Brenda and Chloe. They're ecstatic. "See? We told you," Chloe exclaims. "Men are such simple creatures. They just have to be tall and confident." I don't feel vindicated. I feel sick. But this is for science. Part 3. Welcome to the Thunderdome. So now I have matches. This is where the easy part starts, right? Wrong. So wrong. It's just a different kind of hell. The one-word replies are still there. Hey, sup, hi. It's like a morgue of dead-end greetings. I realize the opening line is entirely my responsibility. The burden of initiation is 100% on Jax. I try being cocky and funny like the bio. So, aside from being ridiculously cute, what do you do for fun? Some girls like it. Some call me a pig and unmatch. It's a total crapshoot. I get a list of demands disguised as a profile bio. Don't waste my time if you're under 6 feet 3 inches, don't vote Republican, have a stable career, 6 figures plus, and can hold a conversation. I'm tired of carrying the conversation. The irony is a physical force. I match with a girl whose entire profile is her Amazon wish list. I talk to a girl for 3 days. Good banter, funny gifs. We seem to be clicking. I ask her out for drinks. Perfect. Can we go to the Gilded Lily? Their cocktails are amazing. I Google the place. The cocktails are $25 each. She wants a free night out at a fancy bar. I test my theory. Sure. Or we could check out this cool little dive bar I know. They have live music. She unmatches me instantly. I spend hours a day swiping and trying to start conversations. It's a numbers game. A brutal, soul-crushing numbers game. For every 50 swipes, I get maybe 10 matches. For every 10 matches, I get 3 replies. For every 3 replies, 1 will turn into a conversation that lasts more than a day. To get 1 date would require sifting through hundreds, maybe thousands of profiles. It's a full-time job, a job that pays in rejection and self-doubt. I'm starting to understand why men ghost. It's a survival mechanism. You can't possibly give a polite, detailed rejection to the dozens of dead-end conversations you have every week. You'd go insane. I'm starting to understand why they send dick pics. It's a stupid, brutish shortcut. A desperate attempt to cut through the noise and get a definitive yes or no instead of the slow, agonizing death of LOLK. I don't condone it, but for the first time, I see the despair it's born from. Part 4. The Red Pill Buffet. My experiment isn't proving what I wanted it to. I need more intel. I need to understand the male psyche. As Jax, I join a few subreddits, a few Discord servers for men. I lurk, a digital anthropologist in a foreign land, and I read stories that make my blood run cold. A guy talking about his divorce. He was the sole provider for 15 years. His wife cheated on him. In the divorce, she got the house, the kids, 60% of his income in alimony and child support. He now lives in a tiny apartment and sees his kids every other weekend. He pays for a house he's not allowed in, for a woman who betrayed him, and his kids are being turned against him. He's working 70-hour weeks just to stay afloat and is contemplating suicide. The comments aren't LOL simp. They're from other men. Hang in there, brother. I've been there. Here's a link to a men's support group. Don't let her win. I see a thread about loneliness. Dozens of men from their 20s to their 60s talking about a bone-deep, crushing loneliness I couldn't imagine. Men who haven't been hugged in years. Men whose only social interaction is with the cashier at the grocery store. They're not incels blaming women. They're just sad. They talk about the male disposability, how society only values them for what they can provide. If a man is a construction worker who falls to his death, he's a statistic. If a woman is harassed on the street, it's a national tragedy. They talk about the pressure to be strong, to never cry, to have all the answers, the pressure to be the pursuer, the provider, the protector, the pressure to initiate everything, from the first hello to the marriage proposal, and to absorb all the rejection along the way. I bring some of this up with Chloe and Brenda. Wow, so you're reading MRA propaganda now? Brenda scoffs. That's just a bunch of sad losers who can't get laid, Chloe adds. It's their own fault for being creepy. They can't see it. They won't see it. They see a forest of patriarchy, but they can't see the individual trees of male suffering that make it up. They can't see that the same system that tells women to be pretty and quiet tells men to be useful and silent, and that being told to be silent about your pain is a special kind of poison. Part 5. The date. After a month of this agonizing grind, I do it. Jax lands a date. Her name is Megan. She's a nurse. She's cute, seems smart, and she can actually hold a conversation. We text for a week. The conversation flows easily. We have similar interests. I feel a genuine flicker of excitement. I, as Jax, am excited for this date. We agree to meet at a brewery on a Friday night, 8 p.m. I spend the day as a nervous wreck. It feels real. I'm thinking about what Jax would wear, what he would talk about. I feel the pressure to perform, to be charming, to be the man she's expecting from the texts. 7:30 p.m. I'm about to leave my apartment to go to the brewery. I was going to sit in a corner and just watch her arrive, and then leave, to see if she'd show. My phone buzzes. It's a text from Megan. Hey, so sorry, something came up with my friend. She's having a crisis. I'm gonna have to cancel tonight. Rain check? My heart sinks. It's the flimsiest, most generic excuse in the book. I know it's a lie. My friends and I have used it 1,000 times. It's the polite way to say I'm not feeling it anymore, or I got a better offer, or I was just bored and you were a fun distraction. I feel this wave of emptiness. All that work, the swiping, the cringy bio, the endless, exhausting conversations, the navigating of tests and shit tests, all of it for this. A last-minute cancellation from someone who probably was never serious to begin with. And in that moment, I remember all the men I've done this to, the guys I've ghosted after weeks of talking, the dates I've canceled with a lame excuse because I was feeling lazy, the conversations I let die because I wanted him to put in the effort. I never once thought about what it felt like on the other side. I saw them as an endless, renewable resource of attention, a monolith of men, not as individuals with their own hopes and vulnerabilities. The cruelty of my own indifference hits me like a physical blow. I wasn't a monster. I was just a typical modern woman, and that was somehow worse. Part 6. The debriefing. I delete Jax's profile. I delete all the apps. The experiment is over. I write down my findings. Not for a blog post, just for myself. My thesis was shattered. My worldview was detonated. Dating for the average man wasn't easy mode. It was playing life on nightmare difficulty, with the tutorial disabled and all the NPCs set to hostile. It was a thankless, demoralizing, and deeply lonely grind. I meet up with Brenda and Chloe, my notes in hand. I try to explain it to them. You guys were wrong, I say, my voice shaking a little. It's not easy. It's brutal. The amount of rejection, the loneliness, the performance. They exchange a look. Honey, Brenda says, putting her hand on my arm in that condescending way of hers. You just got a small taste of what women have to deal with all the time. Men judging our looks, being objectified. No, it's not the same, I insist. We're judged on our appearance, yes, but they're judged on their entire existence. Their height, their job, their income, their confidence, their utility. We complain about getting too much attention, but they are starving from a lack of it. They're invisible. Chloe rolls her eyes. Oh my God, you've been brainwashed. You've developed Stockholm Syndrome for your own fake man. They laugh. They actually laugh at me. They tell me my data is anecdotal, that I did it wrong, that I internalized the misogyny. They can't hear me. The cognitive dissonance is a brick wall they've built around themselves. Anything that challenges the all men privileged, all women oppressed narrative is just discarded. I look at my two best friends and realize I'm more alone with them than Jax was on a Saturday night. I pack up my notes and leave. I don't think they've texted me since. So here I am. I tried to LARP as a man to prove he had it easy. Instead, I got a speed run of the male dating experience. And it broke me in a way I didn't think was possible. I see men on the street now, and I don't see the patriarchy. I see the quiet desperation, the invisible weight they carry, the guy holding his girlfriend's purse outside a store, the dad pushing a stroller, looking exhausted, the old man eating alone at a diner. They're all just trying their best, in a world that tells them their best will never be good enough. My face when I wanted to write a feminist blog post. My face when I accidentally red-pilled myself into oblivion. My face when I now understand men's pain. And in doing so, I've completely alienated myself from the only world I ever knew. My face when I think I might be the loneliest one of all.